So how are you
Right.
doing, Steve?
Yeah, so far so good. Actually, I'm fasting this time, so we completely forgot to mention that last time, right? Because you like to fast, I like to fast. So I'm now 5 days in, and as you see, I'm still cognitive. so
Excellent.
so that's something we should definitely talk about this time. Yeah, but so far so good, man. I'm deloading and fasting at the same time, and the first block of the off season, so my calories were pretty high, and training intensity was high, so it's time to take a break.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about fasting now, because to my knowledge, Steve, you're the only bodybuilding coach that uses, I don't know of anyone else that uses at least extended fast. I don't know anyone.
No, not many. I know that John Meadows incorporates it sometimes, like a 1 day fast or a 2 day fast, and it might be during prep or off season. And a lot of guys, because of the backlash, people are like, oh, it's so catabolic. People don't talk about it, but it's more guys than you think, because I get all the messages, right? And you get the messages of guys that do fast frequently. And I have guys that are like 250, 270 pounds that do it like every 3 months, like every quarter, a week, a whole week fasting, maybe because of my incentive or what you're putting online, or because of the videos from Dr. Jason Fung, who's a very big proponent of fasting. And so I get these messages quite regularly, but these guys, they just don't talk about it because of, you go so catabolic, you know?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Just today, I received a comment on one of my interview clips from the Delray Misfits. A gentleman was
Mm-hmm.
saying, apparently in the clip, I had said that I don't lift weights anymore, but when I do my 5 day fast, I do
Yeah.
lift weights only during that time period.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the reason why I do this is because, obviously, as you know, the body needs to use some kind of proteins, right? But we
Yeah.
have different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of proteins in our body. Sometimes bodybuilders, they don't realize that it's not just muscle. You have extra skin, you have all,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
right? So I,
Right.
I feel like if you lift, is for someone who doesn't lift weights like myself anymore, if you
Mm.
lift weights during that time, you
Yeah.
actually give the body a stimulus not to burn that muscle, and instead
Yeah.
use alternative parts of your body. So, but interesting thing. So this gentleman, he commented on my video, and I know you,
Mm.
when you get annoying comments, sometimes you just say, "I'm not dealing with this." But
Not dealing with it.
I
No.
got a comment. He said, like, "Did I hear you say that you?" I don't know what he said. Did I hear you say that you lift weights? He misunderstood something, but he was trying to be funny. I said, "No,
Yeah.
I lift weights during the fast only." Then he said,
Mm.
okay, I can see this reasoning makes sense, but probably because you don't have much muscle or something like that, or you're not. But
It's a little
actually,
stab, a little. Get the knife
yeah.
out. And this is what the common field does, and this is this is this is what people try to do, online. It's
Well, what they don't understand is it's like actually I responded to him saying it seems that thank you for your very knowledgeable comment. You seem very educated on the subject, because really what they don't understand is that the truth is I don't have much muscle. I was over 240 before. I was 210
right.
at good body fat level. I
Yeah,
probably he doesn't have much muscle himself,
and
but
freaky strong. So
yeah,
it's
no, but that's not the important point. It's not about ego.
mm-hmm.
It's just that I know how muscle works. Even though I have a little bit of muscle now, I
Mm-hmm.
know that I don't lose much muscle during those fasts. It's not much
No.
that I have, but it's surprising. What people don't realize is there's a change in the nervous tone. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
feel that as well. It's not like
Yeah.
going on a calorie deficit. You probably lose less muscle than on a calorie deficit. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, so your metabolic rate goes up, right, during a fast. A lot of people don't understand this. I have blood work. I'm doing blood work before and after this time, but I didn't check my thyroid levels because I already know that it always goes up by 5 or 10%. Your TSH, free T3, free T4, and all those thyroid markers, they all go up. So what I do is I schedule a fast around the deload. So I'm basically in an overtrained state, and then you have to catch up on the recovery. So your protein synthesis is elevated for the next 5 days. So that's why I don't train, because I train so hard 5 to 8 weeks prior, and then when I fast, I catch up on recovery. So what happens is the autophagy, right? So you lose the old cells, they get recycled, and you lose a little bit of protein in that process. Then by deloading and being in an overtrained state, or slightly, your protein synthesis is still increased, and you catch all this old protein from the dead cells, after the second or third day when the autophagy starts happening. You catch all this old protein, and you take old protein from dead cells and you put it into the muscle cell. And you can do it the opposite way, like what you're doing. You're sending a signal for protein synthesis, and this way you don't go catabolic, because the muscle cells that are still active, and being utilized, and you're being stimulated, they take the protein from the autophagy cells away, and that's how you stay big. That's why people don't understand it. But as long as your protein synthesis is somewhat stimulated, whether that's by training during a fast or from being overtrained, and you have 5 or 7 days more of protein synthesis on the way, because the muscle cells just late on recovery. It just takes all the old protein from the the cells that got autophagy, and it's I don't lose any size. I'm 106 kilos after 5 days of fasting.
Wow.
I'm 225. It's
your approach is extremely reasonable as well. It's a totally different way of looking at it for a bodybuilder. Yeah. It's really reasonable. And you know what I wish? I wish you would go on RX Muscle and talk about fasting, because it's different than coming from somebody that's mostly into longevity like myself. But speaking about a bodybuilder who's health conscious, because truly fasting is the antidote to many of the problems that come with bodybuilding. It's a perfect
So what happens is with me, my blood work, all my markers improve, right? So my CPK goes down maybe 50%, creatine, phosphate, ketone. My creatinine goes down. My liver enzymes go down. My lipids improve. And I'm deloading. I'm speeding up the deload process, and I'm doing a mini diet. So I got my insulin sensitivity goes up. My deload is going up, and all the dead old cells are getting, through the autophagy, they're gone. So now I recover better. My red blood cell count goes back into range because the old red blood cells get eaten away through autophagy. Okay, I recycle a little bit of the serum iron, right, and the ferritin, but I eat a pescatarian diet. I don't have so much beef in my diet, so my iron levels are always in range. So whenever I do a fast, I check my CBC, my serum iron, my ferritin levels, see where they're at. Okay, if they're at the top, right, I know that I'm going to recycle the iron from the hemoglobin and the red blood cells into the serum iron and the ferritin. But in this case, it's just in the middle of the range. So I have a buffer where the iron can go, and then these markers don't go up. So my hematocrit, hemoglobin, and red blood cell count goes down, and the iron gets recycled in the ferritin. And liver enzymes go down, and everything gets better. It's like a 3-month off compressed in a week, and you just have to suffer through the no eating. And people are just so freaking scared to do it.
And it gets easier every time you do it. Less hungry, your brain works better, right? Do you notice that?
Right. Yeah, it's the ketones, right? You get such into deep ketosis. Okay, I'm cheating a little bit with pharmacology.
But still, you get more adapted. Like, I don't know if you noticed, by the 4th or 5th time you do a 5-day fast. Like the first time I did it, my brain was really not functioning well. I was doing 1 week at that time. It was not functioning well. Now, even on the 5th day, I can do consultations. I do my strategy work. It's fine. Now
it's easy, man. I have no idea how many times I've done it so far, but I've been doing it for years now, every 3 months at least. And now I'm doing it a little bit more often because I feel good and I get a lot more work done. So now it's super easy, and I'm always in ketosis, right? So I'm already fat adapted by the time I go into the fast. Okay, a Sunday I eat garbage and pizzas and hamburgers and cheat food.
You're already in ketosis beforehand because you eat basically pescatarian and not too high protein, I guess.
Well, it's pretty high protein. It's 400 grams. Yeah, it's my BUN is in range, guys. My blood urea nitrogen is at the top of the range, so it's in range. So I'm not eating too much protein.
Okay. Oh, that's much easier than if you're already in ketosis.
Yeah, no, it makes it much easier. So when I start Monday, by Monday afternoon, I'm in ketosis, and my ketone meter is telling me, you're already at, where you need to be. And then over the course of a couple of weeks, it goes, pretty high. But I use a little bit of Lantus to keep the blood sugar down,
Well, I got to ask you about that in a little bit. I like that, your protocol. But I got to make it clear to the audience also, don't you notice that the blood markers or the biomarkers that you see improve, there's a lag, they stay improved for a few weeks afterwards, right?
Usually I check my blood work markers after, right before, or sometimes before, but usually after. So sometimes I do a comparison, but always after the fast. But then I don't check my blood work markers for maybe 2 months. So I don't notice if they stay in range better. I used to go like every month, when I was running experiments and, high dosages of testosterone to see if my blood workers would still stay in range. And they would stay in range longer. But now I don't really go that often anymore because I know exactly how my body is going to respond.
Yeah.
you know. But it does help because you're cleaning out all the toxins, and as long as you get a little bit of fiber in, you know, because your bile acid need to, you know, go through the intestinal tract, and otherwise it gets reabsorbed if you don't eat anything. So I still have a little bit of psyllium husk and maybe a cucumber, you know, if I feel like yesterday evening I felt like, oh. So I had a cucumber. Yeah, and you detox a little bit easier that way because you have some volume in your stomach that allows for the bile acid to be detoxified. Otherwise, it just gets reabsorbed, right? In what is that called?
But it's not so dangerous for the bile acid not to get. It's not. I mean, are you talking about getting rid of cholesterol?
The cholesterol and the liver enzymes and whatever gets detoxified into the bile acid. You know, it's. I mean, I'm 105 kilos, and you know, all this lactic acid and these waste products. Because when I feel detrained, you know, you're saturated with waste products, right? And I want to just get rid of that as fast as possible. So I'm drinking a ton of water. My sodium intake is very, very high. And then I take a little bit of fiber to prevent the reabsorption of the bile acids, which have, you know, some of the toxins that I'm trying to get rid of.
That's interesting.